Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my presentation on Mongolia. Mongolia was first inhabited at least 500,000 years ago by a large number of ethnic groups and nomadic empires throughout its history. The first one was the Hunnu. It was founded in 209 BC. The Great Wall was built by China in part to protect against the Hunnu. The Mongol Empire was founded by Genghis Khan in 1206, and it fell apart in 1398 after the strategic error of moving the capital to Beijing in China. In the early 20th century, Mongolia became a communist country, but by 1990 it collapsed and they had a new constitution in 1992. Religion. Over half of Mongolians practice Tibetan Buddhism, and that's the main religion. Costumes, making statues of guards, ritual instruments, and the composition of shans stand out differently from other Buddhist countries. Mantras are styled differently, Tibetan ones, than other Tibetan ones, and sound like Mongolian folk songs with beautiful melodies. Modern day Mongolians show great religious tolerance as well. The other religion is shamanism, and that's one of the oldest religious beliefs. Its main characteristic is Tengrism, which is the belief to worship the sky. They aspire to not disturb the ecological balance. Some of these practices have even been adopted by Mongolian Buddhism. Mongolian food is influenced by its barren geographical conditions, predominantly nomadic lifestyle. The meat you'll see are the five snouts: horses, yaks, camels, goats, and sheep. Lots of dumplings. It's the main food during the Lunar New Year. Families will make thousands over several days in preparation for celebration. Lots of fried noodles and meat. Budog, which is when you take hot stones and you slip them into a carcass after it's separated from the bone. Mongolian barbecue. And while there's Mongolian barbecue in the United States, this method remains unique to Mongolia. There are 8 legal holidays a year in Mongolia. These are the ones listed below. Lunar New Year is a big one, and Genghis Khan's birthday is a very important one. For child traditions, a baby's name is not chosen until 5 to 10 days after birth. Family members will gather to help choose the name. And then on an early birthday, there's a celebration held for boys and girls. The family will gather and the child will sit in a position of prominence, like at a dining room table if it's in a house, or like in a yurt if it's more nomadic. And the first person will cut their hair, usually is the eldest male member of the family that was born in the same zodiac year as the child. And then each guest will cut a lock of the child's hair. Grandparents are a big part of raising the kids, so parents can still work. Traditional Mongolian weddings have slowly adopted more contemporary features, but they still keep a lot of the main elements, like these below, where the groom's family will go to the bride-to-be's family, and the father groom will present a hadag, which is a cotton piece of cloth used as a gift. If they accept it, that means the bride's family agrees. On the morning of the wedding, the groom's side of the family will arrive at the bride's home and bring the wedding dress. And then when the woman leaves in the morning, it symbolizes leaving her home behind, and the husband is the new home. For death, when family member dies, the family members will remove any possessions that would make their spirit want to stay on earth. They basically get rid of that because that's bad luck and they need to prepare for rebirth. Mongolian Buddhism, they will use the tradition of sky burial, where you just leave the body in a high, unprotected location exposed to the elements. Hence, like the vultures probably picking at the deceased at a sky burial here. Mongolians basically believe that the body is just a vessel for the soul to pass on to the afterlife. If they do a more traditional funeral, they'll put a little mini yurt to symbolize the new home on the grave. After the ceremony, the family will circle 3 times and say goodbye to the dead. And on the drive home, they will take a different route to confuse any evil spirits from following them. For politics, presidents are elected for a 6-year term. There's a 2-party system. There's a 76 seat parliament, and that's 4-year terms. Everyone in Mongolia can vote unless you're incarcerated. Women are a little underrepresented. LGBTQ citizens face some societal discriminations about being able to advocate for themselves, but that's gotten better the last few years. Music is heavily influenced by its nomadic surroundings. Overtone singing, known as humi, which is throat, is a style of singing that is considered to be a type of instrument. It consists of different ways of breathing that produces two distinct pitches at the same time. One's like a bass instrument, the other is like a whistle. Traditional Mongolian dances began as a ritual performances imitating the movement of mythical creatures, and they still do that today. Art, a lot of traditional Mongolian art. On the left here, this is my favorite one. It is One Day in Mongolia, and it shows a number of things happening. There's a middle one here where the man is playing a traditional horse fiddle, common instrument in Mongolia. And this last one here is two horses fighting, because horses are very common in Mongolia. They say Mongolian without a horse is like a person without its feet. And this is my prop. It's a children's book, both in Mongolian and in English, and it's about Genghis Khan. I really, really like the artwork, and I think I'm going to look more into the artist after this. And it just tells the origin story of Genghis Khan from birth and how he became a warrior and then an emperor. And I chose it just because they teach it to their children and from a young age. And he is probably, if not the most important figure in historical figure in Mongolian culture.